And if my recollection is wrong, please let me know. So last time the Road Accident Fund was here, I asked a specific question, which was, what kind of investments do you engage in? And I followed that up and I said, is it a call account? And you CEO said yes. I said, is that all? And you said yes. And we can consult the record. I then asked you that day whether you have a treasurer or not. You remember that interaction? I asked if you have a treasurer or not. And if my recollection is wrong, please let me know. Your answer was in the affirmative. I then asked you as a follow-up why you needed a chief investment officer if you have a treasurer. Now, I'm quite happy to go and consult the record, and I need to ask this for clarity because we cannot, I referred earlier on to this institution accepting two contradictory reports and adopting both of them, which is a joke. And I don't want us to get into that position again. So I just want you to disabuse me of the belief that you may be telling us something that is different from what you said last time. But I've asked the team to consult the record if they can. I remember I sat here and I was asking questions myself in that regard. So let me ask again. Have you had a treasurer before concurrently with a chief investment officer? At which point did you then decide to forego a treasurer? And are you telling the committee that the chief investment officer effectively performs the duties of the treasurer, and that the only thing here is about naming conventions, but otherwise the committee should have nothing to worry about? The concern I raised at the time was the fact that you said you only have a call account. And by the way, I am not suggesting you're not allowed to take part in investments, but I went with your answer at the time. So can you please clarify me here about that interaction and what you are telling the committee today?
Yeah, Chair. I remember vividly that at that point I said, but Chair, we are getting into the space of management. When you were asking about who's sitting in what position and all that, that's what I said. You can go to the Hansard, I'm sure. At some point, the record will say it. We have never had a treasurer at RAF. We have a chief investment officer who's acting. I don't know where people are getting the word treasurer from, and that's why I'm saying it's nuanced. People, different names, different. This thing is going to always result, Chair, in a situation where we must now go to the.
Mr. Letsolo, you're not answering me. I need you to start here. I asked you that day. I asked you that day, what investments do you engage in? And your answer was, it's just a call account. I asked a follow-up question, which was, if it's just a call account, why do you need a chief investment officer? Right? Because there's a certain, names matter. I can't call a CFO a managing director because I choose to do so. These roles matter. A chief investment officer's job is to determine and drive the investment strategy of a firm in order to maximize returns. A treasurer does something fundamentally different, Mr. Letsolo, and that is to do what you were describing just now. Managing assets and liabilities and doing the matching and helping the organization manage its cash flow so that it can meet its ongoing obligations and so on, and to also manage whatever investments the firm may engage in order to serve that purpose. That's what a treasurer does. A chief investment officer's role is limited. I do not think we must get into a discussion here, and it's patronizing to the committee, I must say, where you tell us you can choose what naming convention to give to something that does not apply to it. Please don't do that. This conversation is coming along well, and it's not appropriate for you, Mr. Letsolo, to say you can call a role anything. And you did say last time that I was getting into management space. I let it go. But this question is valid. So is your position today that you do much more than just have a call account, as you told me last time? Are you changing your answer?
Chair, you're going to have to let me answer, because you see, one is you are making assertions about things I understand quite well and have done. You are saying a CIO's job is to maximize returns.
Mr. Lutsalo, please start here. You gave an answer to this committee last time. Your answer today to the same question is different. Which version is correct?
There's nothing different, Chair. I'm saying it again. We have a call account, and that's what we have at the Road Accident Fund.
You don't have investments with anybody, not with the Reserve Bank, not with anybody.
Meaning?
Now I'm saying you may decide to take a portion of the cash that you have sitting in bank and invest it, because the Reserve Bank is mandated to do some of this work, for instance, or another institution. I'm not specifically au fait with your legislation. My understanding is that you are allowed to get into that kind of thing. So I'm not saying you shouldn't. But last time I asked you a specific question. And that question was, do you engage in anything other than running a call account? And your answer was you only have a call account. Now you've just said, just now to Honorable Atkinson, that you do much more than that. Wasn't that so? That's what you said. Please explain to me what more than that is in relation to the answer you gave last time.
I said, Chair, there is a view that all we do is manage a call account. We do more than that. I talked about stratification of the loan book. I talked about asset and liability matching. That's what I said, Chair. So that's what I'm saying. We have a call account, but a person that is in a CIO position, currently the RAF does more than that. I said there must not be a view that, and I said it even in the last meeting, that there's a view that all people do is manage a call account, which is not true. Okay? So I'm saying, again, Chair, the RAF, so far as I know, does not have a treasurer, has never had a treasurer, it has got a CIO. That CIO does certain things, and I've said this, Chair, depending on the model you adopt, the different ways of looking at this person and his job description is totally different. So there can be a treasurer that does some of the work of the CIO in cases where there is no CIO at all, and then works under the CFO. That's what I've been saying, Chair. So I repeat again, we run a call account. There's not the only thing that the CIO does. There are duties and functions that are under a CIO that we do. So that's what I'm answering, Chair. I'm answering again. We have never had a treasurer since I've arrived at. I've never had a treasurer since we have arrived at RAF. So I'm repeating it again, Chair.
So, Mr. Lutsalo, let me read to you what the committee's secretariat recorded of our interaction that day. And we don't have to delay ourselves, but I need to make clear to you. And I had made this point to the chair, that it is important that when people deal with this committee, they are truthful and consistent. So, these are the minutes of that meeting. The chairperson asked for clarity on whether the chief investment officer looked after the entity's call account, saying there needed to be a conversation on whether there needed to be a chief investment officer. He asked that the RAF send a submission explaining the need for a chief investment officer. Mr. Lutsalo said that the chief investment officer would be needed when the RAF began to pay installments. The RAF was in the process of making changes, and the submission would lay out why a chief investment officer would be necessary. This is what the committee recorded that day. Now, I'm not going to litigate the specifics all the way. right? But Mr. Litswalo, I remember very well that interaction of ours. The reason I raised the issue of a treasurer and chief investment officer is because you couldn't tell us what the CIO was doing. And this is what is recorded in the minutes of this committee. Let's not do that. Because you gave a different answer fundamentally to what you are giving now.
No, Chair. You have said to me, I said there is a treasurer there. And this must be in the record somewhere. Because you are the one that said to me, I said there was a treasurer. There's never been a treasurer there. There is a person who's acting in the position of CIO. And I said that person does totally different things. And I said we are now getting involved in the space of management.
Okay, Mr. Lutalo, you have not answered again. And I'm now making a statement, and we can go back to Honorable Atkinson. The answers you are giving today, and you know, one thing I'm going to follow up on is this full record of this discussion. Mr. Lutalo, it's not appropriate to give different versions of the same thing to the committee. And even on this occasion that you are answering, you are skirting the issue of this answer that I have just read back to you. That's the first thing. The second thing is we will, Mr. Litswalo, get into the issues of management, because when an entity tells us that someone has the title of anything but they perform something different, and if your version is that management is at liberty to decide on naming conventions and what those people do, and the committee may not ask questions in that regard, then we are going to have a conflict. I will ask the committee to send you both the recording and the transcript of the meeting. But this recollection here, because I've asked the colleagues there to send me the minute, because I knew I was not crazy. And your answer is inconsistent, sir. Mr. Atkinson.
If I may beg your indulgence, may I request that because the issue around the CIO would also be in the presentation as vacant and recruitment underway and position advertised, that at your discretion, the committee be briefed on the roles and responsibilities of each of the executives in order to provide a clarity on the matters. And that secondly, because this matter is arising for the second time around investments, that the committee be briefed around the activities taking place on investment, because I fundamentally believe, one, it will provide clarity, but it is of material consequence, let me put it that way, to the finances of the entity, so that the matter can be clarified, notwithstanding the injunction that you have pointed to and the provision you will make of the transcript, so that clarity be provided. But I believe it would be to the benefit of the committee to avoid a back and forth on this matter. Thank you.